my absolute joy and my honor, and I'm so grateful that I can introduce today Gary Zukav to you in the audience. A warm welcome from me, Gary, to you.
Thank you very much, Puria. It's a joy to be here. I'm always interested in conscious evolution. My life is devoted to it. And so also is my spiritual partner, Linda Francis. And so when I saw the name of your summit, Conscious Evolution, I knew that I wanted to explore that more.
Wonderful. And Gary, I will just read a brief introduction about you, just in case we have maybe people in the audience who haven't seen your books or don't know you. So just a brief introduction. So Gary, for years, has conveyed the most complex insights in language all can understand. Over and over, he challenges us to see the depth of our potential in the world and act on that awareness. He is the author of 4 consecutive New York Times bestsellers like The Seed of the Soul, Soul Stories, The Heart of the Soul, Emotional Awareness and the Mind of the Soul, Responsible Choice, both co-authored with Linda Francis. You mentioned her already. And Gary's gentle presence, humor, and wisdom have endeared Gary Zukav to millions of viewers through his 34 appearances in the Oprah Winfrey Show. 6 million copies of his books are in print, and translations have been published in 24 languages. That is amazing. And as I said in the beginning, I look forward to have this time with you because in my understanding, being aware of our eternal level, of our soul level is so important in kind of being able to move through the challenges which we are facing in this very intense time of transitioning out of a paradigm of separation and of competition into a paradigm where we deeply really live and act on our deep knowing that all is interconnected and that love is the basic frequency which is moving through us and animating us and expressing through us.
Most of the people who are watching this summit will already have a resonance with what we're saying. There are many more who will not. And that is because we are in an evolutionary period, pardon me, in which the new is overlapping the old. By old, I mean old consciousness. And the old consciousness is a consciousness that all humans, all of us shared for as long as there's been humanity. It could be 300,000 years. Some people count from the appearance of Homo sapiens, and others count from the appearance of hominoids, which would be millions of years ago. And this old consciousness is limited to its perceptions. And its perceptions are those of the 5 senses. And it's from that perception that life is short. It is actually pretty short, but that this life is all there is. And the universe is only what we can taste and touch and smell and hear and see and hear. The new consciousness is very different. The new consciousness expands our perception beyond the limitations of the 5 senses. In other words, we become multisensory. The 5 senses together form a single sensory system whose object of detection is physical reality. But now we have another sensory system. That's why we're multisensory. And we can see far beyond, not see with the eyes or hear with the ears, but sense in ways that are significant to us. For example, we can sense that we're more than bodies and minds. We can sense that the world is more than random. We can sense that the universe is more than cold and merciless. We can sense that the world is symbolic in ways that teach us about ourselves. We can sense that the universe is wise and compassionate. This is a new consciousness and is very different from the old consciousness. The new consciousness appeared relatively recently, and the old consciousness has been our modality for a long time. Now we are living in an unprecedented, because the new consciousness is unprecedented, time of overlap. So you might say that there are many, and even those who are multisensory, such as we, are living with one foot in the old world and one foot in the new world, the new consciousness. Now, just because we're multisensory doesn't make us superior in any way to people who are still five sensory. Within a few generations, everyone in the human species will be multisensory. This is just a temporary ebb and flow of evolution. The question for us is, what shall we do now as we begin to awaken to ourselves as spiritual beings? And by spiritual, I mean, I think what you were describing. By spiritual, I mean having to do with the soul. And so as we become spiritual beings, we're waking up in a world that doesn't yet recognize spirit. So what is this mixture of new and old? I can't quantify it, but you can feel it. There are hundreds of millions of individuals now who are becoming multisensory. An entire generation has come into the Earth School and is now growing and contributing to the Earth School. That is multisensory. And of course, there are people in whom multisensory perception has emerged, such as I, such as many of the people who may be listening to us. So there's one more thing that I want to mention, the difference between the old and the new, and that's the understanding of power. Five sensory humans look at power as the ability to manipulate and to control. And it's very important to them because that's how we evolved for a long time, by manipulating and controlling the external world. Now, that kind of power, external power, produces only violence and destruction. Now, that is a big change. That means what used to be good medicine, and the only medicine that worked for us, is now poison. It's toxic. It produces only violence and destruction. You can experiment with this, but it's painful. You are experimenting. Most of us are experimenting with it continually as we try to change the world in order to make ourselves feel better and safer. If you're living with someone or you have neighbors or friends who don't believe what you believe, tell them what you believe and then tell them again and then tell them again and then tell them again, regardless of what they want to hear. And you'll see the consequences of pursuing external power. They'll withdraw, they'll push you away, they'll judge, they'll create distance. And you will feel lonelier because you won't have their company anymore. A new power, a new understanding of power is a part of the new consciousness. And that new understanding of power is alignment of your personality with your soul. So what does that mean? The intentions of your soul are harmony and cooperation and sharing and reverence for life. And as you align your personality with your soul, you create an authentically powerful life. And that is now our evolutionary modality. That is how we now evolve as multisensory humans. So this is where we are. We're in a time of ending and a time of beginning. And we're all involved in that. And this has never happened before in the human species. The transition from five sensory to multisensory has never happened before. It also is unprecedented. So we are in unprecedented times, having unprecedented experiences that humans in the past have not had. So the question is, what shall we do? We are waking up to thirsting for harmony and cooperation and sharing and reverence for life. And we're waking up in a world of discord and competition and hoarding and exploitation of life, a world in which life is a cheap commodity. All of us who are multisensory are waking up to this, and all of us in the human species in the next few generations will wake up to it and be asking ourselves these questions. So this is what I've come on to your summit to discuss with you, because it is affecting everything that we experience, everything that we do. And so let's talk about whatever you want in this arena.
Beautiful, Gary. I just resonate so much with what you shared. And I also would say that aligning, I liked how you described it, aligning with also our personality to our soul level. And in your experience, I mean, you have really decades of experience and you work with many, many peoples. What supports us in this, let's say, this adjustment, this movement to really align with that soul level?
You don't need to work or do anything to become multisensory. That is a gift from the universe. That is something that hundreds of millions of people, as I mentioned, are experiencing. The potential, the new potential that multisensory perception brings is authentic power, alignment of the personality with the soul. And that does not happen automatically. That does not come as a gift. The potential of it comes as a gift, but it's up to us to create authentic power. It's up to us to become aware and responsible and authorities in our own lives. It is up to us to decide what we will contribute to life. Will we contribute the pursuit of external power, which leads only to violence and destruction? Or will we contribute love? Will we contribute patience? Will we contribute gratitude? Will we contribute caring and awe of the universe? These are all choices. Now, what I'm here to discuss, if it works for you and for your audience, is how to do that. How to align your personality with your soul. How to create authentic power. What Linda and I teach at our events are tools. And not only that, just two of them, well, three of them, but they're very simple. The first one is emotional awareness. You need to become aware of your emotions. Now, five-sensory humans are not too concerned about emotions. They're considered something like an inflamed appendix. They don't serve a purpose. They can be painful. And it would be better if they could just be disposed of, cut out, thrown away. They impede the pursuit of external power, the ability to manipulate and to control. Five-sensory humans experience the opposite. Emotions are very important. Emotions put you in touch with the force field of your soul. Emotions give you information about yourself that you need in order to grow spiritually, which means that you need in order to evolve. They tell you when fear is active in you and when love is active in you. They tell you in unmistakable ways. When you are experiencing any emotion, instead of being amorphous about your experience, be specific. Put your attention inside your body and put it into some specific areas of your body. We'll start with your throat area and your chest area and your solar plexus area, which is just below your sternum. There, you can see it in the picture. And if what you are experiencing is uncomfortable or painful in any way, then you know that fear is active in you. Let's call it a frightened part of your personality. For example, you're angry, or a part of your personality that is jealous, or a part of your personality that is resentful, or a part of your personality that feels superior and entitled, or a part of your personality that feels inferior and needs to please. All of these things are experiences of fear. And when you act on an experience of fear, you create painful and destructive consequences. If you don't know that you're acting in fear, but a frightened part of your personality is active, you do the same. You create painful, destructive consequences. This is how most people have lived their lives, unconsciously, creating with fear, creating in fear and doubt. And they don't know the difference between that and love because they're not emotionally aware. All of this is significant now to multisensory humans. Multisensory humans. By the way, we've learned in our events that many people initially say, I don't feel anything. I can't experience any sensations in my body. I keep trying because they're there. It's interesting that some of the most resistant people that I've encountered in our events are male attorneys. But all of them eventually, even if it's taken a year, have excitedly exclaimed, I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel something here. And you can too. And by the way, some people are emotional by nature, you might say, but that doesn't mean they're emotionally aware. These people often are emotional, but they splash their emotions on people. They throw them on everyone, like throwing paint on everyone. They're upset, they're disturbed, they're angry, they're jealous, they feel wonderful. All of that, it just passes right through them and onto the world. Boom, onto you. That's not emotional awareness either. You might call, Linda and I wrote a book together called The Heart of the Soul, Emotional Awareness. And we described a lot of different experiences of emotions. This is the pass-through effect. Emotional people, in that sense, emotional people don't really feel their emotions. They know they're emotional, but they don't take the time, and they don't have the intention and sometimes the courage to actually put their attention, in this case, in these 3 areas. There's 7 areas altogether. So as you develop that ability, you can recognize when a frightened part of your personality is active. And that's very important information for you, because then you can decide not to act on it. Because when you act from a loving part of your personality, you create blissful, constructive, healthy, grounded, wholesome consequences. Creating authentic power is acting from loving parts of your personality while frightened parts of your personality are active in you. In other words, while you're feeling the pain of judgment, the pain of disdain, the pain of anger, the pain of jealousy, oh, that's terrible, the pain of vengefulness, while you're feeling that, and that's what emotional awareness, as you develop it, allows you to feel. you can, in that moment, reach for the healthiest part of your personality that you can. Well, what are they? And what do they feel like? The healthiest parts of your personality originate in love. They're the parts of your personality that you experience as gratitude or appreciation or caring or patience or contentment or awe of the universe. And when you act on them, you create wonderful consequences that feel wonderful, and they are healthy and constructive. And that's what you contribute to the world. You contribute to the world and you learn wisdom through love and trust instead of through fear and doubt, which is how you learn it. When frightened parts of your personality are active, you don't know it, or you're multisensory and you do know it and you don't challenge them. This is the creation of authentic power, and this is our new evolutionary modality. Now, at this point, Puria, I'd like to say to you and also to all the people who are listening, I don't ask you or expect you to believe what I say just because I'm saying it. And in fact, I suggest that you not believe anything that I say just because I'm saying it, or anything that anyone says just because they've written a book, or they've got a pulpit, or they've been on television, or they've got an internet show, or they've got thousands or millions of likes. Don't. Experiment with it. Take it into yourself and see if you resonate with it. And if you do, experiment with it. And if it works for you, keep it, because then it's your own. And if it doesn't, throw it away. Don't keep a shoe that pinches. So, in my experience, this is where we are. This is where we're going. We're going toward authentic power. We're transitioning from 5 sensory to multi-sensory. That consciousness is born. It came into being about a generation ago and was virtually unnoticed. It's noticeable now. And it will become more noticeable as more and more humans become multi-sensory until all of us are. And that will take a few generations, but it will happen. And in that time, the number of people who become authentically powerful depends upon how many people decide to become authentically powerful. But the attraction to authentic power is delicious. The attraction to authentic power is the attraction that we have to the sun as it begins to show itself over the horizon. And so this is a wonderful world of potential that we're moving toward. And the question is, what can you do about it? And the answer is everything. Everything. What are you contributing to the world? There are many significant differences, experiential differences, and real differences between multi-sensory humans and 5 sensory humans. And here's another one. 5 sensory humans say to themselves, what difference does it make what I contribute to the world if there's 7 billion other people who aren't contributing that, who are contributing fear, who are brutal, who are greedy, who are selfish? As you become multi-sensory, you can see that those are the people who are frightened and they're acting on their fear. But you also see something more. You see that what you contribute to the world is very significant. How significant? More significant than we can imagine. The Lakota people who had adopted me and Linda several years ago into their culture say the center of the universe is everywhere. Well, if it's everywhere, it's in you. If it's everywhere, it's in me. And if you are the center of the universe, what you do is very important. 5th-century humans look at the world as outside of themselves, as other, as different. And it's self-evident to them that it is. As we become multi-sensory, that boundary between inner and outer becomes softer, becomes blurred a little, not in your perception. You can still see trucks as they approach you and not step in front of them. But you begin to realize something that is quite surprising to some people, and in others, it's simply evident because they're multisensory now. The love and fear in the world is the same as the love and fear in you. So if you're going to address the love and fear in the world, you need to address it in yourself. There's no other place you can, because that's where it is. The world, the external world, is the world that we've inherited from 5th-century humans, and we among them when we were 5th-century. And it's built on external power. It's built by external power. It expresses external power. Everything about it reflects external power, the ability to manipulate and control. The world that we desire is a world that reflects authentic power, the intentions of the soul. There's only one way that you can contribute something different to the external world than external power. And that is by contributing something other than external power to it. That's love. The fundamental duality in the Earth Scroll is love and fear. And now that we can see that, or when we can see it, then comes the opportunity to choose. And in fact, from a more comprehensive level comes the responsibility to choose. Responsibility always comes with awareness. The more awareness you have, the more responsibility you have. If you get into an argument with someone and that someone is not as evolved as you, it's your responsibility not to carry on the power struggle. It's your responsibility to have the courage to step out of it. It's your responsibility to see the other person not as less than you, not as angry, jealous, resentful, but as frightened, and feel the compassion that you have for that person instead of the frustration, anger, resentment, and whatever else a frightened part of your personality is feeling. So we're becoming a multisensory species. When we were a 5th-century species, we evolved by surviving, and we survived by pursuing external power, by manipulating and controlling. And now we're becoming a multisensory species that evolves by growing spiritually, and that grows spiritually by creating authentic power. So there's a great deal that you can give to the world, and all of it requires work on your part. I say this from experience, a lot of work. It requires commitment, courage, compassion, and conscious communication. You can download these things from our website, seatofthesoul.com. That's S-E-A-T, like what you sit on, of the S-O-U-L, like what you are, .com. These are the 4 sort of categories of authentic power guidelines. But they're free. Just go there, download them. And if any of them appeal to you to look into them. And I recommend The Seat of the Soul, which is a book that I wrote. And it goes into authentic power and what it is and how to create it. And everything that I've done and Linda's done since then in the way of events and talks and interviews like this one and events, and I said that, and activities that we have are to support people in creating authentic power. But it's not that difficult to understand. What is difficult is doing it. And that's why we have events. That's why we still write books. And I've just written another one because it's the doing it. It's the practice. That's where the spiritual rubber meets the spiritual road. So in other words, no one can create authentic power for you. Others can help you. They can support you, but they can't do it for you, and you can't do it for anyone else. And we can discuss how others can help you in a moment, but I've spoken a long time, Puria. You've been very kind. Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask me?
It's just beautiful to receive that, to hear that, and to be kind of penetrated to what you say, because I not only hear it with my ears, I just let it in totally and I resonate with it, and my senses, it's food. It's like good food. It's like a very rich, golden, nourishing nectar when you kind of, when you embody that, what you say, and when it's flowing towards me, it's like really, it's nurture, and I just enjoy that. And I just wonder, Gary, because you mentioned quite often, it's really our choice. And I wonder, what role does it play in which environment we are when we choose, being with these people or watching television, the news, or uh, applying to an seminar, what you offer? Just talk a bit about this choice which we make, in which circumstances and environment we put ourselves.
Yes, your question at first was, what difference does it make what environment we're in? And none at all. Every experience you have in the Earth School offers you opportunities to create authentic power. Every circumstance and every opportunity and every interaction activates emotions within you. And they are either emotions, they are either experiences, they're emotional experiences, they're experiences of love or experiences of fear. You use your emotional awareness and you check in your energy processing centers, and we've talked about 3 of them, and you see if love or fear is active. And if fear is active, challenge it. You challenge it by deciding not to act on it, by acting from a loving part of your personality instead. If you're angry and you're experiencing it fully, we never suggest or would suggest that you suppress or repress or deny an emotion, but feel it fully. That's what emotional awareness allows you to do. Then you know what it is you're challenging. And then choose to act from gratitude instead, or patience instead. That's creating authentic power. And it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing, and it doesn't matter what your environment is. That doesn't mean that you don't do what you can to create authentic power. Why put yourself in the midst of people who are 5th sensory, who don't understand what you're sharing, or who judge it? It's nothing personal to you. They judge a lot of things. But As you begin to create authentic power, you don't have to worry about this so much because you also become aware of dynamics, non-physical dynamics in the universe that create and sustain the physical world. What are they? Just two of them that we can talk about. One of them, let's talk about one of them. One of them is the law of attraction, the universal law of attraction. That doesn't mean if you think about a Ferrari, you're going to attract a Ferrari to you. It means that energy attracts like energy. And if you are competitive, if you are exploitative, you will attract other individuals who are competitive and exploitative. And you will live in a competitive and exploitative world. And you will think, this is the way the world is. Don't tell me otherwise. Look, I experience it every day. And you do. On the other side of that, if you are loving and caring, you will attract other individuals who are loving and caring, and you will live in a loving and caring world. If you are an individual who is learning to recognize frightened parts of your personality and distinguish them from loving parts, and strive to cultivate the loving parts and challenge the frightened parts so that they lose their control over you, then you draw to yourself others who are doing the same. As you draw to yourself others who are doing the same, they may be your friends or they may not. As you begin to create authentic power, as you become multisensory, not only your perceptions change, but your values and your aspirations change. And that's another way of saying the law of attraction works in bringing to you others who have similar values and aspirations. They also want to see a world of harmony and cooperation and sharing and reverence for life. Just as before, if you were self-centered and self-serving, the people you drew to you were like you. And you wanted to be with them because that's what felt comfortable and relatable to you. So everything changes as you decide to change your consciousness. Now, this is all in the context of the new consciousness. Human consciousness has already changed. In other words, not everyone who is alive now is multisensory, but everyone who pursues or attempts to pursue external power now will discover that it produces only violence and destruction. It can produce nothing else. So the answer to your question is, your experiences in the earth school, that's this domain between your birthday and your death day, between the entrance of your soul, the incarnation of your soul as a personality, and the departure of your soul from the earth school when it decides to return home. That's the earth school. And within that earth school, everything supports your spiritual growth. Everything. That doesn't mean that you're growing spiritually, because you need to recognize those opportunities and use them. Let me give you an example. The next time you're angry, the next time you're impatient, the next time you're jealous, the next time you find yourself compulsive because you have to have the linen closet stacked just right, the next time you have to have your desk just cleaned off perfectly, the next time you have obsessive thoughts that won't leave you, thoughts about money, thoughts about romantic love, those are obsessive thoughts. Every time you find yourself compulsively doing something like a workaholic or a perfectionist, those are opportunities to grow spiritually. They don't stop. They're all around you, all the time, everywhere. Now, as you become multisensory and you listen to these words, you can begin to use those opportunities. And there are lots of people who are doing this and lots of people who are sharing this. You will probably hear some of them, maybe many of them on this summit, just because of its title and your energy, Puria. Conscious evolution. Conscious evolution. Conscious evolution. Whose consciousness? Yours. Whose evolution? Yours. And you might say, well, but I want to serve the world. Come on, give me something big to chew on. I am. Try it, and you'll find that it takes all of your courage and commitment and compassion and conscious communications and actions to do it, to enter your life with your eyes open, to experience your emotions, to look at your intentions before you act or speak. Does my intention come from love or does it come from fear? And then choose. And as you do that, you change the world. You are of the world. The world is of you. That's beyond the comprehension of the intellect. It's beyond the imagination of five sensory humans. It's not beyond the understanding of the higher order logics and reasoning of the heart. And it's not beyond the experiences of multisensory humans. We're in new territory, and it's good. And what you do in this new territory depends entirely on you, not who you're around, not what others do, not what others say, but what you do, what you say. And the intention, in particular, the intention, specifically the intention, fundamentally the intention, more important than anything, the intention behind what you do. Love or fear.
Beautiful, Gary. And what I just notice is that often it's the very simple and obvious. What often really helps is to make gaps between what we experience and before we act. So just stop for a moment, breathe, and become aware of what you are, how you are answering. And so it's really this little tiny thing of the simple, just wait for a moment. Don't run so fast. So this is what I found out and what I also hear in your words, and that's a never-ending practice of awareness. And I really love how you beautifully put it in words and how you remind us and how you really also challenge us and let us know that we are responsible, no matter where we are, in which circumstances, and that we have this potential of learning and emerging and growing in what you say authentic power. It's available for everybody.
I agree with everything you just said, Puria, beautifully, except for one thing. You said the work is in the little things, to stop before I act. That's not little. That's big. That's as big as it gets. Everyone from Plato to Ram Dass knew that. And now I'm suggesting it to you. If you have, not if you, when you develop the ability, which means emotional awareness and responsible choice, to stop before you act, before you speak, and know your intention, that is as big as it gets, because each of those experiences, each use of your volition, of your free will, directed toward contributing, acting, speaking, with love rather than fear is heroic. And as you start the practice of this, you'll find out how heroic it is, and also how transformational it is. And then you'll begin to see that it transforms your experiences and your perceptions and the people that you're drawing to you, and how effectively you can contribute to the world, and how much you enjoy contributing to the world, and how much before you might have been focused on contributing to yourself. So thank you so much, Puria. And I would also like to say, I mentioned our website. I want to mention it again because we're replacing it. It's a informational website now. And by next January, we will have a much more supportive website. That's what we're aiming for. And we're creating a global support, which has all of the things that we're familiar with digitally: a website, online courses, social media, a podcast, uh, and all of it designed to support you in practicing. Understanding, of course. You have to understand something before you can practice it. But then comes the work, practicing it. So please come, download the Authentic Power Guidelines. The book that I mentioned that I'm writing is called Universal Human. And I have been writing it. I've been working on it for 30 years. But that's another way of saying the book has been working on me for 30 years. And it's not finished yet, and neither am I. But the time has come to publish it. So it's going to be published in the United States probably by next fall. And it should be easy to get, be published by Simon & Schuster. So, and if you have any questions for me, first, ask Puria. That's what this whole summit is about. So ask her. And if you have any questions that we haven't covered about me or what I share or Linda is sharing, then come to us and ask the questions at seatofthesoul.com. And don't think that the contact us link is an impersonal thing that goes into another computer. It doesn't. It goes to the people that we're close to here and working with, and they will send it over. They will send it over to me and to Linda. It's a very intimate world we live in. And as you become authentically powerful, you develop 4 characteristics: humbleness, clarity, forgiveness, and love. Love is the big one. Love is always the big one. But the others are important too. And one of them always leads to the other. They're not standalones. Humbleness is the one I have in mind. Humbleness is the understanding, is the recognition that everyone's life and everyone's path through life is as difficult and challenging as your own, as labyrinthine as your own. And so as you realize that, you begin to relax around other people. And as humbleness becomes one of the characteristics of your personality, you find yourself living in a friendly world. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to speak with you and to speak with the people who are listening to the Conscious Evolution Summit, Puria. Thank you.
I thank you so much, Gary, for this wonderful time together and for this powerful and penetrating transmission of your wisdom. And also thank you for all of what you're providing. I will also put the link, and so that everybody has an easy time to really find the information and continue with you if there is a resonance in it. And yeah, thank you so much, because I know that your schedule is very full and that you you do a lot, and it means a lot to me to have you this year in this Conscious Evolution Summit. Thank you so much, Gary.
You're welcome, Puria. And also, now that you mention that, yes, please do come to the website, because if you want to be involved in any of the things that we're doing, it's so much easier now. We just gave our first live, experiential, interactive, dynamic, online 5-day Journey to the Soul retreat. We've never done that before. We'd planned to do it for a while, and of course, the coronavirus has given us a little nudge. But because of this, it's now possible to participate in a retreat with us, in an event with us, in a 3-year program with us, in a free conversation with us. We're going to start that pretty soon too. And you don't need to pack your bags. You don't need plane reservations. All you need is an internet connection in a quiet room in your house, just like we're doing now, Puria. So please find out about that, because all of our events now, of course, for the duration of the virus, are going to be online. And I am thrilled at how significantly rich and deep and emotional and potent they are. But as you become multisensory, you begin to realize that shouldn't be surprising, because 5-sensory humans think that the internet is connecting us. But multisensory humans see that the internet is a reflection in physical reality of our growing awareness as a species of how connected we are. If it weren't for that growing, developing awareness, there wouldn't be an internet. So naturally, we've discovered, and you will discover too, the internet lends itself beautifully. Video conferencing lends itself beautifully to intimate interactions. When someone's face is big on your monitor, you see them more closely than you see that face more closely than you could at an in-person event. That's just one of the strengths. We miss the hugs, and we miss the dinners and the chats in the hall. They both have, of course, their strong points, and we are powerful and creative, compassionate and loving beings. That's what we're beginning to realize as we align ourselves with our souls. But the ways that we can be compassionate and loving and connected are manifold. And now we can do them more easily. And more people can enjoy at less cost. We'd like to reduce the cost to zero. As soon as we figure out how to do that with our webmaster and a few other people who have to feed their families, we will. And in the meantime, we'll bring it down as much as we can. So there's a friend as a friend. We've said goodbye 3 or 4 times now, and each one is more lovely than the last. But as an old friend of ours in North Carolina says to us, and I say to all of you, I love you deep.